Good morning and welcome to your Daily Journal Newsbreak, sponsored by Renaissance Bank. Today is Monday, February 5th, and I'm your host, Emma Kent. We're going to take a look at the top news and sports stories from Northeast Mississippi, but first let's take a look at your weather forecast. Today will be sunny with a high of 50 and a low of 40 and a 0% chance of rain. Tomorrow will be rainy with a high of 54 and a low of 46 with a 70% chance of rain. On Wednesday, rain is in the forecast with a high of 51, a low of 28, and a 100% chance of rain. On Thursday, the skies will be partly cloudy with a high of 54, a low of 33, and a 10% chance of rain. Mississippi lawmakers continue to look for more money to repair the state's roads and bridges. So far, most of the proposals by legislative leaders deal with taking money from the general fund instead of creating new sources of revenue. Last week, House Transportation Chairman Charles Busby announced a proposal to increase the motor fuel tax to pay for transportation needs while reducing the state's income tax. The proposal could be taken up in the coming days. Busby seems to believe lawmakers would be more willing to raise the gasoline tax if they were cutting the income tax at the same time. The state's 18.4 cent per gallon tax on motor fuel is the main source of revenue for the Department of Transportation. The income tax is one of the primary sources of revenue for the general fund, which funds most major state agencies. The legislature has already passed about 50 tax cuts that will take more than $700 million annually out of the general fund when they are enacted. Upgrades are coming to one of Northeast Mississippi's most heavily traveled roads. Safety cones and work crews have been visible along North Gloster Street in Tupelo for weeks. Their work marks the beginning of a 2-year, $10 million package of improvements designed by the Mississippi Department of Transportation. Motorists can expect some widening work at the Gloucester Street and McCullough Boulevard interchange, as well as longer left turn lanes at the Barnes Crossing Road and Highway 45 interchange. Meanwhile, the intersection of Gloucester and Barnes Crossing Road will be reconfigured to allow traffic turning left from Barnes Crossing to cycle faster. Upgrades to traffic signals will attempt to move traffic more quickly. MDOT District 1 engineer Mark Hawley said the agency has been studying the road for some time. The latest improvements were designed based on comprehensive data. The contract calls for completion in September of 2019. Any roadwork requiring the closure of a lane must be done at night, and contractors will not work during the Christmas shopping season. Tupelo native Josephina Rayburn was named Outstanding Citizen of the Year at Friday's Junior Auxiliary Charity Ball. JA of Tupelo President Carly Johnston said Rayburn has lived a life dedicated to the betterment of her community. Johnston went on to highlight various examples of Rayburn's service to the Tupelo community, from volunteer work at the Salvation Army, Meals on Wheels, the Tree of Life Clinic, El Centro, and Faith Haven, where she has served for 6 years, to mission trips and service on the Committee for Reconciliation for the City of Tupelo. In addition to her community service, the 78-year-old Rayburn taught in the Tupelo Public School District for 19 years, where she was also the first Hispanic teacher in the district. She is known throughout Lee County, and particularly to the Hispanic community, for her role as not only an educator, tutor, and volunteer, but also as an interpreter in the school system for non-English speaking students. And in sports, the Mississippi State men's basketball team won its third straight SEC game on Saturday, while Ole Miss continued the struggle away from home. The Bulldogs defeated Georgia 72-57 in Starkville. Guard Lamar Peters scored 20 points and added 4 steals and 2 assists. Meanwhile, Nick and Quindary Weatherspoon each scored 14 points, and Eric Holman added 12. Mississippi State is now 17-6 overall and 5-5 in the SEC. The Bulldogs host Alabama on Tuesday. Ole Miss lost at Tennessee 94-61 to fall to 0-7 on the road. Ole Miss's leading scorer, DeAndre Burnett, scored just 7 points, and the rest of the team struggled to pick up the slack. The Rebels fell to 11-12 overall and 4-6 in the SEC. They host Missouri on Tuesday. Meanwhile, the Ole Miss women's basketball team lost at Georgia 69-45 on Sunday. Second-ranked Mississippi State hosts 7th-ranked South Carolina tonight at 6 in a rematch of last season's national title game. The game will air on ESPN2. That does it for Newsbreak on this Monday. Don't forget that this show is just one of the many online offerings from the Daily Journal that gets your news off the page and on the go. Special thanks to Renaissance Bank for sponsoring Newsbreak. Remember, you can catch new episodes each weekday morning at 7 a.m. at djournal.com or on our Facebook page. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emma Kent. Have a great Monday.